Hi, this is Phil Leach. In this session, what I'd like to do is to explore some of the poetry with you. We've identified this as lyrical poetry, and as you've read it through, I'm no doubt that there's many similes, metaphors that you find very strange or even awkward, maybe even embarrassing. But as you will be going through this in your own studies, stanza by stanza, what I'd like to do is to explore some with you, to unpack the imagery. And I trust that as you continue your own studies, this will help you get a handle on what you're doing without me going through and explaining every verse. Something that you'll be doing, I expect, in your studies. What I'd like to do is to explore with you what we could call the honeymoon descriptions in chapter 4 verse 1 to chapter 5:1. This is one of the poems, and it follows on the wedding procession poem in chapter 3:6 following, and it has some affirmations, it has some compliments that would seem very strange today. So what did his bride look like? Well, this is one artist's impression. Very beautiful woman, huh? There, a neck like the Tower of David, and hair like the flock of goats, and other exciting elements, the shields hanging around the necks, all sorts of things. This is another description from Reverend Fun, Solomon's girlfriend, as he saw her, according to this description. Well, probably you've gathered that's not the point of these various descriptions. Let's look at them together. In chapter 4 verse 1, "How beautiful you are, my love, how very beautiful. Your eyes are doves behind your veil. Your hair like a flock of goats moving down the slopes of Gilead." Doves are a bird that lend themselves very readily to this whole area of romantic love. And often doves, as you may know, are identified as lovebirds. They are often white and soft, gentle, fluttery, but also, interestingly enough, they are one of the very few birds that mate for life, and therefore they identify, or they demonstrate the unique commitment that's a very important part of marriage. Her hair is spoken about as a flock of goats moving down the slopes of Gilead. I can't imagine many young women would appreciate this compliment from their boyfriend or fiance or husband. In fact, these fellas may walk away with a black eye, or at least one. But of course the imagery, it comes from a very pastoral people. Farming was their way of life, and therefore the images would very often be from life as they knew it. A number of years ago I remember watching a movie that you may have seen. It was called The Man from Snowy River, set in the outback of Australia, and I remember a scene of from this movie of stampeding horses. As these horses were running, wild horses, they came to a very steep incline, and I seem to remember them not stopping but charging over this steep, over the edge and down this steep incline, and the camera moving away, and you got a very beautiful movement, rhythm of this huge number of wild horses pounding down this slope, and it was a very attractive thing. And I'm sure that was the kind of compliment that was being given. Someone standing back watching a flock of goats walking together down the slope. It would have been a very attractive sight, and presumably it was a picture of the hair coming down over the shoulder. Chapter 4 verse 2. Your teeth are like a flock of shorn ewes that have come up from the washing, all of which bear twins, and not one of them is bereaved. So we have a picture of a sheep that needs to be sheared, and once the sheep has been sheared, it stands out because it is so white compared with the unshorn sheep. And presumably here the complement, again from the pastoral setting, the farming setting, the complement is that the beloved's teeth are white, using good whitening toothpaste, I guess, or whatever they would do back then, because they have not just been shorn, but have come up from the washing. All of them bear twins, not one of them bereaved. Speaks about how the upper and lower teeth fit well together and there's no teeth missing. So if they had such a thing back then, the orthodontist had done a good job in the straightening of these teeth. So presumably this woman has good teeth, beautiful teeth that come together. Chapter 4 verse 3. Your lips are like crimson thread, your mouth is lovely. Not too difficult to understand this compliment, something that we would be comfortable with today. But this next one, your cheeks are like halves of pomegranate behind your veil. For many of us, we're not familiar with the pomegranate, but it is a fruit that was well known, and often because of the luscious, delicious taste, it was identified with the area of love and romance. And rounded cheeks in antiquity were much praised. It's interesting to me how different cultures have different ideas of female beauty. Some cultures is that they're slim, and other cultures is that they're not slim. Some cultures is that they have a nice tanned skin, and other cultures that is not seen as beauty, but people want to be as white as possible. Some it's having curly hair and some straight hair. It seems whatever we are, we want to be something different sometimes. But nonetheless, in antiquity, it seems that rounded cheeks were much praised, as was a long neck. You may remember in the poems we read, the ancient love poems, a couple of them mentioned the length of the neck, and a long neck was praised in ancient times. And so we have hyperbole here. Your neck is like the Tower of David built in courses. On it hangs 1,000 bucklers, that's shields. All of them shields of warriors. And that presumably is referring to a necklace around a beautiful neck. Chapter 4 verse 5. Your two breasts are like two fawns, twins of a gazelle that feed among the lilies. Now the fawns, of course, are gentle, delicate animals, which are here made synonymous with the two breasts of the woman. And presumably the picture language is that the fawns have their heads down, feeding among the lilies, which means their rump is up, and there would be a short stubby tail which would reflect the nipple of the breasts. So we have this very vivid image here, again from the pastoral setting, something which presumably would have seen by this man's new bride as a high compliment. Chapter 4 verse 6, until the day breathes and the shadows flee, I will hasten to the mountain of myrrh and the hill of frankincense. Until the day breathes and the shadow flees, that is, the night ends and the day dawns. It talks about a desire for unhurried intimacy all night long. I will hasten to the mountain of myrrh and the hill of frankincense. This will be reflecting the foreplay in the consummation of their marriage here on their wedding night. You are altogether beautiful, my beloved. There is no flaw in you. Come with me to Lebanon, my bride. Come with me to Lebanon. Depart from the peak of Amana, from the peak of Sinai and Hermon, from the dens of lions, from the mountains of leopards. Come away from the danger, from the place of fear and alarm to a place of peace and security. A place of peace and security in his embrace. You have ravished my heart, my sister, my bride. You've ravished my heart with the glance of your eyes. I think that is straightforward to understand. And notice the term sister there. Sister, my bride. The word sister and brother, these are terms that are very common with this form of literature, and this is not talking about his literal sister. You've ravished my heart with the glance of your eyes, with one jewel of your necklace. The necklace sparkling in whatever light there was in their honeymoon suite. How sweet your love, my sister, my bride. How much better is your love than wine, and the fragrance of your oils than spices. Your lips distill nectar, my bride. Honey and milk under your tongue. The scent of your garments is like the scent of Lebanon. So clearly they are embracing and kissing in their honeymoon suite. Chapter 4 verse 12. The garden motif in ancient poetry was a well-known euphemism for the sexuality of the woman. And when it speaks about a garden locked is my sister, my bride, a garden locked, a fountain sealed, it would be referring to the woman's virginity, that on her wedding night she was a virgin. And the following verses, with all of the spices and the exotic fruits that are mentioned, are all referring to the woman's sexuality. And verse 15, a garden fountain, a well of living water, and flowing streams from Lebanon, indicate that as husband and wife have spent time in unhurried intimacy, the wife is ready for sexual intercourse. And in verse 16 she gives her husband the invitation, awake, O north wind, and come, O south wind. Blow upon my garden, that its fragrance may be wafted abroad. Let my beloved come to his garden and eat its choicest fruit. And then in chapter 5 verse 1, he consummates their marriage. I come to my garden, my sister, my bride. I gather my myrrh with spices. I eat my honeycomb with my honey. And I drink my wine with my milk. An explosion here of tastes, which is typifying their sexual union. Let's look at chapter 8 verse 6 to 8. This is probably one of the strongest statements of love in the whole of Scripture. We're very familiar with chapter 13 of 1 Corinthians, that beautiful statement of love by the Apostle Paul. And it's not without significance that in this book about married sexual love, which we will see the wedding is at the heart of the chiasm of structure. As we bring this book to a conclusion, there should be such a statement, because it is this kind of love that surrounds all that is going on in this book. Married, exclusive married love. And chapter 8 verse 6, set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your arm. For love is strong as death, passion fierce as the grave. It are flashes of fire, a raging flame. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can floods drown it. If one offer for love all the wealth of his home, it would be utterly scorned. The picture of a seal here, a seal upon your heart and upon your arm. That seal is a picture of commitment. And mentioning both the heart and the arm here in the parallelism, semantic parallelism, speaks of the whole person. And love as strong as death. That may sound strange to us, but death is a very strong force. Everybody will die. We will not avoid it, we'll only delay it. It's an irresistible force. And the love spoken about is that strong. We read in verse 6 that passion or jealousy, passion in the New Revised Standard Version, it can be jealousy, is a possible way to interpret it, is fierce as the grave. So love as strong as death, passion or jealousy as fierce as the grave. And jealousy is often thought to be a negative emotion, a sinful emotion, and the truth is it usually is. But there's a good jealousy. God, we read in the Old Testament, was jealous for the exclusive love of his people. And a husband in a good way can be jealous for the exclusive love of his wife. A husband can be jealous of his wife in a very negative, destructive way too. But there's a wholesome way, a way that a wife or a husband would want exclusivity in their relationship with their spouse. Jealousy, as strong as the grave. This love flashes, are like flashes of fire, a raging flame. And the picture we can have is of a forest fire. We hear frequently of forest fires raging through Australia or Colorado or some of these places, and they're very destructive and very difficult to put out. Maybe if the weather changes, a thunderstorm would do the work, but it's very difficult for it to be put out with effort when it catches and is so strong. This is what this love is described as. A raging flame. Many waters cannot quench this love. No amount of water can put this love out. And this love cannot be bought for money. If one offers for love all the wealth of his house, he would be utterly scorned. This love cannot be bought. It is freely given, freely received. And so, having a look at these examples of poetry, I trust that will help you as you explore this more now for yourself.